The trip I'm going to talk about right now was another of my very favorite trips I've ever taken. I keep making this noise with my fingernails. Hi guys! Today, as part 2 of my 3-part traveling series, I'm going to talk about trips that I took overseas. Now, I've been on a few trips, not really overseas, but a few trips in countries other than Canada and US. I went to Mexico with my brother, and I went to Cuba with some of my friends. So I guess Cuba would kind of be technically overseas, because you do have to fly over the ocean to get there. This nice, beautiful, polka-dotted photo album contains my trip overseas. This was a trip we took in March of 2005. I was in grade 12, so the final grade of high school, just months away from graduating, and we got to go on this awesome trip in Travel Club. We went to Ireland, Wales, England, and France, and I think it was an 11-day or 10-night trip. This is the group that we traveled with. This is our travel club. We flew from Thunder Bay to Toronto, and then Toronto to London. I don't remember why there was a delay. I think we had a very long delay in Toronto. So once we got to London, we were late, and we couldn't catch our connecting flight that would fly us to Shannon, Ireland, which is where we were supposed to meet the other 2 travel groups. A group from Chatham, Ontario, and then a group from somewhere in the States. Oklahoma. They were from Oklahoma. They were already waiting in Shannon, or they're already on their way to Shannon. We got there too late. I think the first thing we did was have Burger King, then we passed out. So that's me laying on the floor, and Danielle's up in that chair. Right off the hop, the group from Oklahoma didn't like us very much because we made them wait so long. This is Carly having her very first taste of Guinness. She had the whole glass. I had a sip, and then I was like, oh, nope. I mean, when in Rome, but no. This is us with Danny Boy, the real Danny Boy. More wild donkeys. That must be a theme in trips for me. We found a nice beach, and then we went into the water, even though it was only 11 degrees out. The water was actually very cold, and by the time we left, the beach was ruined. So, sorry about that, Ireland. I hope your beach went back to normal. We went to Blarney Castle, and I kissed the Blarney Stone. Then we went to Dublin. Dublin was the only place on our entire trip where it rained. For some reason, we got out of the bus, and there were just people everywhere with umbrellas, and it was crowded, and I got sort of panicky for a little bit. Just didn't want to get lost, didn't want to lose the group, didn't want to get hit in the face by umbrellas. And Danielle and I decided to explore Temple Bar, which is in Dublin. It's like a little... You can't drive on the roads, they're just little skinny roads. There's a scary thing that was beckoning us. Dublinia. Trinity College was beautiful, by the way. We saw the Book of Kells. It was written in the year 800 AD, so you can't take any photos of it. This is just a postcard, so don't yell at me. Then we crossed the Irish Sea and went to Wales. Most of my group went into this big giant castle. Audrey and I decided to explore the little town that the castle was in, instead of going into the castle itself. Ooh. In Wales, we stayed at the Hand Hotel, which was most definitely haunted. And there's this scary story they probably tell every tourist about why it's called the Hand Hotel, blah blah blah, hand knocking, death, murder, scary, mysterious, scariness. This is a little village, but it's really just a train station in Wales, and it's got the longest name on the planet. Of course, it would be read in Welsh, but if I were to read it the way an English person would read it, it would be Llanfairpwll. There is no vowels in that whole section. Gogeri Chwerdrabwl, 4 L's in a row. Anticilio Gogogoch. They don't like to use vowels. Next, to England! This is William Shakespeare and Anne Hathaway's cottage. And you know what? Until just now, I didn't realize that Anne Hathaway, had the same name as Anne Hathaway. I took a picture of a wind turbine. Now, the reason I took a picture of a wind turbine, as you'll see here, is because I had recently done a school project on wind turbines, and they interested me like mads, so I even wrote, wind turbine! London was so amazing. Here's Big Ben. Because I wrote it. See, now you know what it is, because you didn't before. There was sort of a do happening here. It was the Trafalgar Square Peace Camp. And there was a sign up here that said, bring the troops home, no more bush wars. I took a picture of some fish and chips, and I think that's some mashed peas. I took a picture of this dirty old subway, because it's the tube, and I said, mind the gap. Buckingham Palace. I don't think the Queen was there. Though then we went to Windsor Castle, and the Queen wasn't there either. This guy's totally impressed. I was actually trying to sneak in the gate, and then become the Queen, because that's what happens. Once you get to Buckingham Palace, if you can get in the doors and sit down on the throne, that means you're the Queen. It's like checkers. You know how when you get to the back, then you're kinged? That's what it's like. If you get into Buckingham Palace and sit on the throne, then you're queened. Windsor Castle was one of my favorite places. We took a walking tour through, and it was sort of a leisurely tour, but everyone went ahead and I stayed back for probably an extra 15 minutes just because I was just looking at everything, just taking it all in and just trying to fathom just someone living in a place like that. It was just... it's amazing. This is the courtyard where the Queen goes sometimes to play soccer and bocce ball and cricket and croquet and football. I mean, I already said soccer, but I mean American football. That's a lie. She doesn't play any of those things. Now, I have a story about Westminster Abbey. I told you before about the group of people from Oklahoma that were with our tour group. This one girl, when we were told we were going to be walking a lot that day and to wear comfortable shoes, she insisted on wearing these stupid slip-on shoes. They weren't sandals, they had no support, they were just stupid like slippers basically. When we got into Westminster Abbey, she's like, oh, my feet hurt, ugh. She took off her shoes and she was walking barefoot all over Westminster Abbey. In Westminster Abbey, there are a lot of graves and they're just sort of on the floor. And she was standing barefoot on all these graves. She was standing on Charles Dickens's grave just with her bare feet, just walking all over it. Like, do you have no respect? Do you not realize that this is something you just shouldn't do, just morally? Put your goddamn shoes on. Then suddenly we were in Paris. We took the Channel to Paris, and this was our Paris hotel. It was pretty cool because it had a little square in the middle of it, so all of our rooms kind of faced each other, so we'd yell and whatnot. The Phantom lives here! Because he does, that's where the Phantom of the Opera lives. Dramatic silhouette of me and my beret. How's that look? Nice? Do I look like a douche? Perfect. We ate really good crepes up here. Up where we're standing. Right behind us there was a little crepe stand. The first time we went there, we tried to order in French, and he laughed at us. And he gave us our crepes. The second time we went, we knew he could understand our English, so we didn't try to speak French, and he got mad, and he didn't want to give us our crepes. So, can't make him happy, whatever. Then we went to the Louvre. The Mona Lisa was small, but the canvases that this art is on, they're gigantic. They're like bigger, wider than my arms. And then we were back in Canada. One last thing. As I went to all the different countries, I collected flags. This is obviously the Irish flag. So we've got the English flag, French flag, just the normal British flag. Wow, wow. And then I've got a Canadian flag, because I did travel also here. The days that I was in Wales, I could not find a flag bigger than this one. This is my little Welsh flag. It is so tiny. It's the coolest flag, but it's the smallest flag. So last time we covered where you went as a child. Now I want to know where you've gone overseas. If you liked the video, you can subscribe and you can thumbs up. Alright guys, I will see you tomorrow.